Once outside, we scan the horizon, trying to orient ourselves towards the volcano.
Excuse me.
Ah, so we finally meet Cara Noir. I whirl around, come face to face with a woman wearing just enough fabric to cover her essentials and nothing more. Her long brown hair is tied up in a ponytail, which falls down her neck and frames her very ample chest. So, let's go with it. Who in blazes are you? Before I have a chance to speak, Zack asks the question on everyone's mind.
Who are you?
So that sprite was kinda messed up there. Zack steps in front of Amelia, who frowns and steps away. I guess he's taking this bodyguarding business really seriously. Leanna holds herself stiffly, ready to move if necessary. The woman salutes.
Cara Noir, treasure hunter extraordinaire.
Zack narrows his eyes.
What do you want with us?
Well, I couldn't help but overhear that you're interested in the fire temple.
So you eavesdrop often, I take it.
How did you hear us when we were inside?
She taps her nose knowingly,
I have very sensitive hearing.
and that's when you're supposed to scream at her to test it.
I fail to understand how our interests are of relevance to you.
I was just getting to that. You see, I've come to offer an extension of friendship.
Both Leanna and Zack raise an eyebrow.
Or at least an extension of mutual benefit.
Okay.
It's true that the villagers maintain the fire temple, but from what I've discovered, they are unaware of the temple's secret passage. If you're interested in the energy of the temple, I can guarantee that's where you'll find it.
If the villagers don't know about the secret passage, how did you find it?
It's all a part of the treasure hunting gig. You have to be looking for it to find it.
Kara winks and gives us a thumbs up.
The best part is that I've already disarmed or made a note of most of the traps in there.
There are traps in this temple?
The temples are a sanctuary for the elementals, but any place that is easily accessible is sure to attract all types. There are measures set in place to protect the spirit from those who wish to harm it.
So that means there's one thing in there that she can't get around, because otherwise she wouldn't really have a reason to talk to the party. So that would be our boss fight if this were a true JRPG.
Like I said, I've disarmed most of the traps, but not all. There is one magical barrier at the end of the tunnel which I've not yet been able to pass. I don't have magic, but you do.
She gestures to Leanna and Amelia.
If you can magic that barrier away, then that's at least one step closer to finding your energy.
Zack crosses his arms and glares at Kara.
How does that benefit you?
She grins.
All I'm interested in are the artifacts and relics. From the sounds of it, you guys are more interested in something else, hence mutually beneficial. So, what do you think?
I look at the rest of my group. Wordlessly, we huddle closer together and whisper. It doesn't matter. Who cares if she joins or not? She's not interested in the elemental or the energy. If she doesn't go with us, she'll just go after we've broken the barrier.
You do have a point. I must concede that I am impressed by her resourcefulness. It is plainly evident that she is not a native to Embermist, which means she somehow discerned the location on her own.
That's a really good point. Leanna looks thoughtful.
As a treasure hunter, her tracking skills could come in handy in the future.
Okay, Leanna, you can just outright say it. Thief. We all stare at Zack. He shrugs.
Do what you want.
And real quick, notice this. This is one of those things that doesn't really make a lot of sense. If we're only going to be working with her once, who cares really about the future? Hint, hint. That sounds like a yes to me. Zack doesn't respond. He just fixes his steely gaze on me.
So does this mean we're agreed to join up with Kara?
They're pronouncing it Kara instead of Kara. We all nod.
Hi.
The Pango sits in the middle of our circle and blinks happily. Where do you even go when you're in hiding?
Hoi boy. Let's go tell Kara.
We turn around and Kara stands right behind Leanna, her face only inches away. Leanna lets out a startled gasp. Geez, what is she, some kind of ninja? Technically a thief. Kara rubs her hands excitedly.
All right, this will be fun.
Wait,
We didn't give you our answer yet.
Sensitive hearing, remember?
Oh, sorry.
She steps back and gestures for Leanna to continue. Leanna speaks awkwardly. I guess she feels a little silly saying what Kara somehow already knows.
Well, we decided to take you up on your offer.
Kara nods.
Excellent. Since we're going to be working together, first things first. You all know my name, but I don't know yours.
That's the way we like it.
I'm Leanna.
Mage Knight from the Guild?
She nods.
I am Amelia Estelle, a magecaster from the Mage Academy.
Kara blinks.
A student to become a mage caster? But you look just like a teenager.
Amelia cocks her head to the side.
It is natural that my physical appearance would represent my age.
She looks at Amelia with respect.
That is pretty impressive. Who's next?
She looks at Zack.
Zack.
She chuckles.
Very clearly a mercenary.
And I'm Hero. Her green eyes study me, and although she's very clearly examining me, I don't feel uncomfortable under her stare.
Now that that's out of the way,
Boy, boy.
Kara steps back and views the Pango at my feet.
you have a bongo! How cute!
She reaches down and pats him on the head. He beams at her touch.
And what's your name?
Boy.
She glances at the rest of us, but none of us make a move to answer.
Oh, is he not a part of your group?
Nope.
He is. Sort of.
And you haven't named him yet?
Can we call him Pest? Leah and I shuffle uncomfortably. Zack remains unchanged while Amelia frowns.
A Pango is a wild creature.
Kara straightens and pats Amelia on the head, much to her dismay.
If you say so. Okay, are we ready to get going?
We murmur our assent, and then Kara leads us out of the city. As we walk, another ominous rumble sends butterflies to my stomach. I can't shake off the feeling that we are literally walking into a fire. I glance at the others who seem unfazed. I guess it's just me. Pushing my insecurities down, I silently follow the group towards the temple. Just as Elder Isom noted, the temple is a short walk out of the village, on a well-worn dirt path. The road is mostly empty, with only one or two travelers coming back towards the village. The temple is an open structure with a roaring fire in the middle of a grand hall. High columns with flames carved into them hold up the building. Adorning the stone walls are beautiful tiled mosaics. There's one wall with some strange symbols scratched on them. They're very faded, and I have to squint to make it out. From what I can make out, 4 symbols surround a darkness in a square, and a line of fire enclosing their perimeter, trapping the darkness in the center. Huh, wonder what this is. Amelia glances over, then peers at the carving.
Those symbols represent each of the magical elements.
She points to each one.
There is fire, water, earth, and wind.
Then she points to the center.
And that is shadow.
I've never considered shadow an element before.
It is one of the elemental magics.
Kara, Zack, and Leanna have already moved on, so the rest of us hustle to catch up. Besides us, the only other people in the temple are the monks who care for it. They're dressed in woven red robes, the same open and loose style as the villagers from Embermist. Quietly they shuffle back and forth, sweeping the floor and relighting any of the smaller fires which had burned low.
Boy.
The Pango looks around in wonder and reverence. At the sight of the giant flame, he squeaks and hops up on me, claiming his spot on my shoulder. Kara bows briefly before the large flame, then leads us to the back of the chamber and stops in front of an empty wall.
We're here.
Zack sighs. Maybe we made a mistake letting her join us. After hearing her say that, I'm not feeling so confident in our decision anymore. Last I checked, people couldn't walk through walls.
Not unless that wall is actually a doorway.
With her gaze fixed on us, Kara pushes on a brick and a segment of the wall pushes it and swings open. She waves at the opening with a flourish.
Ta-da!
How do you know which brick to push in?
It usually depends, but in this case, there's one brick that sticks out slightly more than the others. If you weren't looking for it, you won't see it.
She heads through the opening and pushes the wall closed behind us. Then she leads us down a winding stone stairway, which ends at the beginning of a narrow passage. We file in behind her as she carefully picks her way down the hall. It's a very plain stone hallway, with wall sconces lining the way. I look down at my feet and notice a brick with an X marked on it. Let's do it. X marks the spot. I wonder what this does. Just as my foot lands on the brick, a click sounds. Kara looks back in alarm. I see something fly towards me. Just before it collides with my face, I'm shoved out of the way and fall heavily to the ground. Oof. The Pango slides off my head and bounces back upright when he hits the ground. My body throbs from my fast landing on the ground. Once the aches begin to subside, I carefully sit up.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Leanna runs right past me and cuddles the Pango.
You poor thing.
Hey! She glances at me.
Oh, are you okay?
Yeah, but what just happened?
You set off one of the traps.
She points to an arrow embedded in the wall. There's another one right next to it.
Didn't you see the mark I left?
Yeah, you can't just mark something with an X and not expect them to investigate.
Sure I can. An X means stop.
I suppose that's true too.
Very curious.
Amelia peers at the crevices of the wall, trying to spot where the arrow flew from. Zack pulls on Amelia's shoulder and moves her out of the way.
You shouldn't put your face in front of a place where projectiles fly out of.
They aren't all just arrows either. Some are much worse.
Like snakes, or bees, or snakes that shoot bees out of their mouth, and so on. Leanna warily scans the surroundings.
Maybe we should keep moving.
And just in case there are actually more traps, I'm gonna say it now. Arrows. I hate arrows. Crossing my fingers I could use the rest of these. Kara nods and resumes walking. The deeper we travel, the more X's I notice. Wow, there are a lot of traps in here. Zack pauses in front of a corridor where the walls are covered in X's.
Why are there so many X's on this wall?
Kara looks down the same passageway.
Oh, it's a two-part trap.
She points to a stone on the ground with the same X marking.
Basically, if you step on the ground stone, it triggers thick bars to shoot out from all the X's in the wall and block the path.
That doesn't sound too bad.
Only if you know how to limbo. The bars have something keeping them hot and will burn you if you touch it.
Okay, that sounds worse.
And you were able to cross that?
Kara winks.
I am very limber.
Zack looks at Kara with interest. Amelia looks between Zack and Kara.
Based on the dilation of Zack's pupils, it appears that Kara's flexibility is attractive to him.
Zack is taken aback.
I was just thinking that it's a useful skill set to have.
Kara has a mischievous glint in her eyes.
Useful skill set to have. In what context?
Zack frowns.
For scouting and navigating, you've done a thorough job mapping this place out and marking the traps.
Leanna looks amused.
Zack, was that a compliment?
He glares at Leanna.
No, an observation.
Kara smiles playfully.
Then thank you for the observation.
Zack falls into silence before turning away. I think that's the most I've ever heard him talk in a 30-second span. We continue through the tunnels. Eventually, she stops in front of another well of fire in the middle of the hall.
The barrier's here.
Okay. She gestures at the swirling metallic wall behind the well. The way that it glitters as it wisps and curls almost looks like a fire. Leanna and Amelia step closer and insert their hands in front of them before gingerly touching the barrier.
It's surprisingly solid for something that looks so gaseous. Maybe there's some wind magic interwoven with whatever other magic is here.
The Pango hops forward with stars in his eyes.
Hi.
He dashes straight for the barrier.
Pango, wait!
I stretch out my arm and race after him. Pango, no! I have to kill him instead. It's a Highlander thing. Instead of running into a wall, the Pango passes straight through and out of sight. So, the hitchhikers emphasizes that we should not panic. Leanna gasps and rushes to the wall.
Pango? Oh no! What if something happens to him?
I step over and put a hand on her shoulder to calm her down. He's a scrappy and resourceful Pango. I'm sure he'll be okay. And that is the problem.
I suppose so.
Leanna bites her lip and stares anxiously at the barrier.
Pango.
blue head pops out of the barrier. What? He hops the rest of the way out.
Boy, boy!
Leanna scoops him up in a hug.
Pango, you're back safe! Boy!
After a second, the Pango wiggles out of her arms and rushes back over to me. Leanna pouts, then refocuses on the barrier. Amelia places both of her hands back on the barrier while Leanna holds out her manipulator.
Whatever is beyond this wall hosts a plethora of energy.
Leanna nods.
My manipulator confirms that. No wonder the Pango ran in there.
Zack continues to hang back and observe, but Kara steps closer to the barrier.
But how did he even pass through?
Leanna shrugs. Amelia continues studying the wall, moving her hands up and down.
I do not recognize this magic.
She frowns, deeply disturbed.
Is there anything you can do to break it?
Let's see.
Leanna and Amelia both put their hands on the barrier, their manipulators glowing. They each transmit pulses of magic which disperses across the surface in a shimmering wave. I think they're trying to create stress fractures to crack the wall. After a few tries, Leanna sighs in frustration then steps back.
Amelia, stand back.
She wordlessly obeys. Leanna gathers energy at her gauntlet then strikes the barrier with an empowered strike. Suddenly, golden lettering forms on the barrier. Absolve your world to enter mine. What does that mean? No one answers. Amelia steps forward and focuses on the well of flickering flame.
If I am interpreting this message correctly, we must part with our most precious possession, our world, and throw it in the fire.
Leanna nods thoughtfully.
Kind of like we're freeing ourselves.
Kara's face drains of color and she clutches at her pack.
Are you sure?
Yes,
We stand around awkwardly until Leanna clears her throat.
If that's what we need to do, then it seems easy enough. I'll go first.
And she's gonna toss the Pango into the fire? Okay, I wanna burn him. Me first, me first! Well, we're doing this for me. I should be the one to go first. Leanna blinks, but I step up to the fire before she can object. What do I choose? I look around and my gaze lands on the Pango. I snatch up the Pango who squeals. I love you, little buddy. He wriggles out of my grasp and races back through the barrier. No! Leanna stares at me in an open-mouthed dismay.
Did you seriously just try to sacrifice the poor little Pango?
And it was glorious, too. I wipe a tear from my eye. He's the most precious thing to me.
Aww.
Wow, she bought it. Then she frowned sternly.
But still, no.
We're not parting ways with the wallet. Let's try this one. Leanna, get in the fire. Unfortunately, I do not have a waifu at this time. I fish inside my pockets and grab my playing cards. I've had a lot of good memories with these cards. They help me break the ice with every move I made. I know I can count on them whenever the words fail me. Reluctantly, I toss them into the fire and watch the flames lap it up. Then I steel my resolve and step forward. Just as I reach the barrier, I slam painfully into it. Ow! Well, that didn't work.
You sure messed that up.
Can I do it again? Kara shrugs.
Normally you only get one chance for these things, but it's not like you've got anything to lose by trying again.
No, I'll wait outside. You guys go on ahead. I fish in my pockets and grab my wallet. My entire identity is here. My license, student ID, and credit cards. The thought of parting with it makes my chest hurt. Reluctantly, I toss it into the fire and watch the flames lap it up. Then I steel my resolve and slowly step forward. As I cross through, I feel the tingle of energy and hear the crackle of electricity. There's a bright light blinding my vision, and I have a flashback of my crossing to Terra. My foot lands on solid ground. I pass through the barrier unharmed. Gradually, my eyes adjust to the dim light, and I can see that I'm in a cozy room. In the middle of the room is a fox, who has some sort of canine creature beside her. But seriously, in the middle of the room is a fox who swishes its tail as it observes me. Beside it is a beautiful woman with flaming red hair. Her delicate hand rests atop the top of the fox's head. As I look her over, her gaze lands on me. Who are you? The woman blinks at me, then smiles. For a second, I think I see the flames lighting the room flicker, and a warmth permeates my body. It's pleasant, like an embrace. Although she holds my gaze, she doesn't speak. How did you get in here? Again, she remains silent, but this time she takes a step closer.
Who are you talking to?
Huh? I peek behind the woman and see Zack standing with an eyebrow raised behind and his arms crossed. The rest of my companions pause in their inspection of the room and stare at me. Kara stands beside an altar while Amelia and Leanna are both kneeled by the fox. The fox accepts their attention, rhythmically swishing its tail, but otherwise makes no move to respond. Instead, it fixes its attention on me.
Are you talking to the fox?
No? I don't think you guys can see her. I fall silent as the group casts me worried glances.
Who exactly are you seeing?
There's a woman dressed in red, and she's kind of flamey, and she's staying right there with her pet fox. Her pet firefox. Leanna looks towards the fox, but her eyes glaze right over the woman. She furrows her brows, concerned.
Okay.
Her voice is gentle, like she doesn't want to speak to me, doesn't want to spook me. None of you guys can see her. The group collectively shakes their heads. I don't know why you guys can't see her, but I promise you, she's there. The Pango helps out from behind my legs. He first examines the woman with partial interest, then he stares in wonder at the fox. The fox cocks its head to the side and observes the group. The Pango perks up and cautiously bounces forward. He pauses right before the fox. The fox's nose wiggles as it sniffs at the Pango. Then it swishes its tail and the Pango squeaks before running back behind my legs. Wait, do you see her too? The woman giggles at the Pango and gently pats his head. He shivers happily at her touch. Then she straightens up and takes a step closer. Her feet don't touch the ground and her skirt floats ethereally behind her. Instinctively, I back away.
What's going on?
She's getting closer. A lot closer. She pauses when she draws near and touches her palm to my forehead. A pulse of warmth flows through me before she retracts her hand. As if something inside me clicked open, I feel invigorated with restored strength. The stronger I feel, the more translucent the woman becomes. Soon she disappears. The Pango stares at me with renewed interest. It reminds me of that same look he gave me when we first met. He licks his lips. Don't even think about it. The Pango pouts and lets out a sad sigh. Kara waves her hands in front of my face.
Hey, are you okay? You kind of zoned out there for a second.
I think I'm fine.
What happened?
I'm not too sure.
Where's the woman now?
Actually, she's gone. Amelia reacts to my words by playing with her bracelets. She holds her manipulator up to me.
Curious. I may have a theory.
What is it?
All the energy which had accumulated here has now gathered within you.
I blink as it takes me a minute to register what she just said. Wait, I absorb the energy? That can't be right.
As I mentioned, it is merely a theory.
Leanna looks intrigued.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I felt it right after she touched me. Leanna's eyes widen.
I wouldn't phrase it like that.
Not in a weird way. She just touched my forehead. Suddenly I felt a rush of energy. Amelia stares hard at me. Why are you looking at me like that?
I am merely anticipating the imminent reaction.
Reaction to what?
The high concentration of energy you just absorbed. The human body was not meant to process such large quantities of energy. At least, that has certainly been the trend with someone from Terra.
Amelia's gaze bores into me as she emphasizes the word Terra. Then she looks back down at her manipulator.
Although, 2 minutes have passed, and there seems to be no sign of an adverse reaction.
Why does she sound so disappointed? Suddenly, Kara squeals as she gingerly picks up a rusty coin out of the remains of a leather satchel.
This is a genuine Vestin coin!
Zack glances at the coin and folds his arms, clearly unimpressed.
How much could a rusted out dated coin be worth?
About a few hundred gold pieces.
Zack's demeanor instantly changes.
You don't say.
Kara smoothly pockets the satchel as Zack covertly searches the room. As Kara finishes up her inspection of the room, Leanna looks around.
Well, since we found what we came for, we should head back.
Kara nods and leads the way out. As we leave the room, we notice the fire, which had previously glowed in front of the barrier, is now gone, but all of our items are still intact. Hot damn, I get to keep my wallet! Hey, nothing was burned in here.
Curious. Then it can be assumed that the purpose of this trial was not to destroy our possessions, but to test our willingness to sacrifice.
The Pango got lucky. Kara happily scoops out her coin purse.
I'm not complaining.
Leanna smiles in relief as she reaches in and collects what looks like a ring attached to a thin chain.
Let's keep going.
The rest of us snatch up our items and continue back out of the corridor. The trek out of the temple is a lot faster and easier than the trek in, mostly because there were no more obstacles to stop us. We pop out of the same hidden wall in which we entered. Just as before, the main ceremony hall is empty. We wave goodbye to the couple of monks sweeping the entryway, then begin the walk back to the village. I'm cool. We stay silent as we walk, each of us preoccupied with our own thoughts. Namely, me being relieved that my wallet is safe. Kara, Zack, and Amelia lead the way back to Embermist while I lag behind. The Pango follows on my heels. Leanna notices my absence and falls in a step with me. She pats the Pango, who ignores her, still too focused on the energy around me. Leanna pouts, then shakes away the Pango's disregards of her and focuses her attention on me.
Something on your mind?
I drop my voice low so the others can't hear me. Now that I've collected the energy from the temple, that means I can try to create a temporal rift and go back home, right? Kara stops, then whirls around to face us. Zack and Amelia stop with her.
Pardon me, you were speaking very softly and it was a little hard to hear, but it sounded like you just said you need to open a temporal rift to go back home? But that can't be right, can it?
Jeez, this woman has got some supersonic hearing. I glance at Leanna, who looks alarmed. About that. Kara's smile falters at my hesitance, but Amelia looks excited.
I knew it. My hypothesis is correct.
Hypothesis? What hypothesis?
My hypothesis that he is from a parallel world.
Leanna's eyes grow wide and she forces a panicked smile.
I think all this parallel world and temporal rift talk has been getting to you. I mean, Elder Isum said it's impossible.
He has already admitted it.
What? Leanna and I have been careful not to say anything. When?
The day of our acquaintance.
I rack my brain, but don't remember bringing that up around Amelia.
You sought out Professor Xavier's guidance, and after he imparted his advice, you and Leanna had a brief discussion in which you mentioned that what he had suggested was exactly what happened to you. Thus began my hypothesis that you arrived from a parallel world.
Leanna looks at me, unsure how to react. What is up with all these eavesdroppers? Does nobody understand the word privacy around here? You all have a problem with eavesdropping.
It's not eavesdropping if you're speaking loud enough for me to hear.
Right there's when you'll need to smack her upside the head.
Do not change the subject at hand.
Leanna sighs.
She already knows.
Not from Terra, huh?
Zack looks me up and down and nods to
It's
himself.
a lot better than the alternative.
What's the alternative?
That you might be unique.
Zack!
He shrugs.
He didn't even know what a discharger was. At least if he's from another world, that explains why he didn't know these things.
Kara looks skeptical.
How did he get here?
There have been unexplainably high concentrations of energy popping up throughout Isaria, and he happened to show up at one of those areas. We went to the Mage Academy to get some answers, and that's how we came up with the possibility that the high energy readings were temporal rifts, and somehow he had traveled through one. Why or how those rifts were even opened, we still don't know.
But if they're the only way for me to get back home, then I have to try to open one. Kara shrugs.
Let's just make sure you attempt to open one far away from where I'm standing.
You won't hold my hand when I do it?
That might be tricky considering no one knows how to open one. We may need to talk to Elder Isum.
That won't be necessary. I know how to do so already.
We all stare at her. How do you know that?
The directions are located in Elder Isum's old research notes, which I had gathered from the Academy. The spell itself is a simple conjuration, which even an amateur could do.
An amateur can open a temporal rift? Then why isn't everyone doing it?
The impossibility of the spell comes from the fact that the human body cannot manipulate the amount of energy needed for it.
She pauses, then points to me.
He may be an exception.
I squirm slightly as their gazes fall on me.
Given that you have absorbed energy directly from the temple, which should also be an impossibility, I must assume that there is something within you which can possess the high amount of magic without suffering consequences. Perhaps it is a skill which you acquired from your world.
My world doesn't have magic. Amelia blinks.
Regardless, only a short amount of time has passed. There is plenty of time for you to still internally combust.
A wave of unease makes my stomach queasy. Maybe I should open up this rift now before that has a chance to happen. Amelia grins with excitement.
I concur with that suggestion.
That may be the best now that you have the magic.
Zack shrugs and Kara takes a look at her open surroundings.
Maybe we should first look for a spot with a bit more cover. We don't want to be opening up rifts on an open pathway.
Good point.
There was some tree cover towards the west.
We mumble our affirmations and follow Zack towards the trees. We settle into the grove of trees, both Leanna and Amelia stand on either side of me. Zack selects a tree far enough away to not be affected by any stray magic, but close enough to get a good view of what's going on. Kara, on the other hand, hangs back towards the outskirts of the trees. Zack looks back at her, an amused smile on his lips.
You'll miss the show from back there. You sure you don't want to come any closer?
Kara's voice is distant.
Yep.
There's a bit of movement as she takes another step back behind a tree. There's no way she can see anything from there. I can barely see her. I take a few steps closer to Kara.
Stop right there.
But you can't see anything from there.
On the contrary, I can see all I need from here.
She can at least see if other people will stumble upon us from there.
Oh, yeah, a lookout. That's exactly what I meant.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with her wanting to stay out of the splash zone.
Leanna furrows her brow.
Temporal rifts don't splash.
No, but people do.
Zack!
He looks innocent.
What?
Leanna frowns. Amelia studies the notes, then nods to herself and snaps the book shut.
The casting is quite simple. It is the same technique as any other cast.
Leanna looks at me.
Are you ready?
I nod. Amelia glances at my stance, then frowns.
Your stance is incorrect. Straighten your spine.
I lengthen my spine and stand as straight as I can.
Now you are too tense. Keep yourself relaxed, but do not slump.
Okay. I release some of the tension in my back. She's about to speak again, but Leanna gently pulls Amelia to the side.
Okay, I think he gets it.
She steps in front of me and gives me an encouraging smile.
Your stance is fine. Just remember to raise your arms in front of you.
I do as she says and she nods.
Now, the actual casting part is gonna sound tricky. You'll need to focus your mind on the spell you want to cast.
So I should just think about temporal rifts?
Yes, but you need to connect that thought with the magical energy. Clear your mind of every thought.
I close my eyes and push away all my doubts and confusion and focus on Leanna's voice.
Now, think about the rift that you wish to create.
I imagine tearing a hole in the fabric of reality. I don't actually know what a rift would look or feel like. All I remember is the bright light. Should I focus on that light?
At the same time, sense for the magic within you.
I try to sense for any kind of magic, but nothing feels out of the ordinary. How do I know where the magic is?
It'll feel like a tendril or willing warmth. When you find it, reach out for it and grab hold. The magic is eager to be used and will latch on.
It's a stupid, but we'll try it anyway. This sounds like a bunch of nonsense. How do you just find it? I do know the cursory mental glance within, and just as I expected, I find no other waiting warmth than my own natural body heat. Just as I expected, this is silly.
Once you find the magic, connect your thoughts of the rift with the magic, and then channel both the magic and the thoughts through your hands to cast it in the open.
I continue sensing, hoping to even find a hint of warmth. How do I know if it's just my own warmth or the magic? Sweat beads in my temples as I strain to cast, but nothing happens. Eventually, my arms grow weary and my mind is exhausted. I decompress with a sigh. It didn't work.
It's okay, we can try again. People aren't usually able to cast on their first try.
I mentally groan. The idea of doing that all again does not thrill me. There must still be something I'm missing.
It just takes some getting used to. Plus, you're trying to cast without a manipulator.
Oh, yeah. Both you and Amelia use manipulators to cast. Maybe that's why I wasn't able to do it.
Well, the manipulator's function is to house the energy source for us to cast with. Technically, because you already have the energy within you, you shouldn't need a manipulator.
Oh,
But this is all theory anyway. It may be easier trying to cast using a crystal, especially for a first-time caster.
Regardless, there could be a multitude of factors for why this attempt was not successful. One for which could be as simple as the fact that you still did not possess enough energy to open the rift.
shouldn't the temple have had enough?
Theoretically, perhaps, but a significant portion of the energy was already being used to sustain the elemental's image. She was able to transfer what was left of the energy to you, which from my readings was only 20% of the total energy in the temple when we started.
So real quick, I want to hear what she says for this first word.
Theoretically, perhaps.
Theoretically?
But a significant portion of the energy was already being used to sustain the elemental's image. She was able to transfer what was left
But
of
anyway,
the
this
energy
tells
to
you we need to go for 5 of
which
them
from
for
my
the total,
readings was
from the
only
look of it. Suddenly, Kara is standing right beside us, as cheerful as ever.
That sounds like you all still need to explore some more temples.
I jump at her presence. Even Leanna and Amelia seem surprised to see her so close. Only Zack is unaffected. How did you get here so fast? She grins at me.
Am I wrong?
The Pango jumps out of Kara's arms and hops into mine. I place him back onto the ground where he nuzzles my feet, licking the air around it.
So it could be that he doesn't know how to cast, or that he doesn't have enough energy.
Sure, but what does that mean for you all in terms of next steps? Are you going to hang out in Ember Mist until he learns how to cast?
It could take him weeks before he can even cast the simplest of spells. That is quite a long time to rely on someone else's hospitality.
It sounds like it would still be in your best interest to visit at least one more temple just to be sure you have enough energy. You can teach him how to cast on the way, so by the time he gets there, he'll be ready to go.
And now that I mention temples, I realize I didn't get to do anything involving snakes, rocks, or so on. Oh well. Leanna looks thoughtful.
That does seem like the better option than the alternative.
If it's the fastest way to get me back home, then I'm not opposed to having all our bases covered. Amelia nods.
That is the most efficient course of action. If we can mitigate any uncertain factors, then we can pinpoint where the weakness is and adjust accordingly for a successful cast. The research this will provide will be very informative.
Hearing Amelia's affirmation, Zack shrugs.
Since I'm here to protect Amelia, I go where she goes.
And go home. Kara smiles broadly and slings her arms around Zack and Amelia, much to their dismay.
Great. Then our arrangement is still on.
Hey!
Zack moves out of Kara's grasps. She smirks.
Most men would be thrilled to have a pretty woman hug them. Right, Amelia?
That is correct. A healthy physique is inherently attractive for potential mates.
Kara lets go and starts to lead the way out of the forest.
We should spend the night in Ember Mist. We can plan our next steps there.
Once we are in agreement, we follow Kara back to Ember Mist. Upon arriving, we head to the inn.
We can spend the night here. I'll meet you back down in the lobby in a few minutes.
She ventures upstairs while we secure 2 rooms with the innkeeper. As we receive our keys, Amelia excuses herself.
I wish to seek an audience with Elder Isum and continue our discussion. I would be remiss to let such an opportunity pass.
He seems like a good guy, but maybe we can keep the fact that I'm not from here a secret.
Yes, that is something in which we are in agreement.
Okay. She nods and then leaves the inn. The decor of the inn is very similar to Elder Ism's hut. Pillows and rugs line the ground as a few people sit cross-legged in front of the fire. A few tables line the other side of the lobby, all of which are empty. In fact, aside from the couple of people chatting by the fire, this place is very empty. Once I sit down, I feel fatigue pass over me, but I try to shake it off. I guess they don't see too many visitors here.
For a city that's supposed to be so secret, that's not surprising. It's more surprising that they have an inn.
I nod and stifle a yawn. We sit at a table as Zach orders us dinner. After a few minutes, Kara returns.
Where's Amelia?
She went to speak with Elder Isam. She nods. My eyelids droop and I'm stifling yawns every few minutes. My limbs feel like leaded weights, and it's taking all my effort to sit upright. After I let out a wide yawn, Leanna glances over at me.
Maybe you should go to bed. We're winding down anyway, so it'd be a good idea to get some rest.
I nod blearily. That sounds really good right now. I guess absorbing all that energy really takes it out of you, huh? Leanna smiles at my joke.
It would seem so.
Regardless, I'm grateful for the excuse to leave. I trot upstairs and fumble with the key before opening the door. Then I fall into one of the twin cots and pass out as soon as my head hits the pillow.